we're here with Dr. Helen Fisher. She's the Chief Scientific Advisor to Match.com and Chemistry.com. And we're going to talk a little bit about cheating. We just came off a panel called The Algorithm Method on relationships in the digital age. So you talked a little bit about what happens to your brain when you fall in love. We lose some of our contextual thinking, become a little bit more impulsive. But what happens to your brain when you cheat?
We don't. I've never put anybody into the brain scanner, and when they're cheating, it's a little bit hard to get people into a brain scanner who are cheating because they really don't want to reveal themselves. I mean, it's a clandestine adultery. In fact, we wanted to study cheating, but there are studies about some of the genetics that might be linked with cheating, not by our group, but by others. One of the genes studied is in the vasopressin system, and some scientists in Sweden studied 552 men and gave questionnaires to their wives and questionnaires to them, and also took their DNA. Okay. And this is a gene in the vasopressin system, and you can either have no copies of the gene, one copy of the gene, or two copies of the gene. And we found that men who had two copies of the gene had the most unstable marriages. Now, they weren't studying cheating, but they were very unstable marriages. They had discussed divorce in the last year. The wife was very unhappy with the relationship, and it was a rocky partnership. People with one copy of this particular gene had more stable marriages, and men who had no copies of the gene had the most stable marriages. So
there's something
there. So we also found Justin Garcia, who I work with, is a young neuroscientist in the United States, and he has found a gene in the dopamine system, a particular allele, and he studied students at a college, so most of them weren't married, but he found that those individuals who had this particular gene tended to have more sex partners, more orgasms with the partners that they had, and were more likely to sort of sleep around. Now, so this is not to suggest that people with certain genetic predispositions are necessarily going to cheat. Right. You know, I mean, people will, some people are predisposed to alcoholism, and they don't, and they give up drinking. Others are predisposed to nicotine addiction, and they give up cigarettes. So, but the more we understand about these predispositions, the more we're going to understand some of the biology behind cheating. The issue is, why did that biology evolve?
Okay. One question just to follow up. So you mentioned that in the panel just now that some of these high-profile cases of cheating, Anthony Weiner came up, and Tiger Woods, these are men with high testosterone drives, testosterone levels. Maybe we talked about them spiking when they're cheating.
What's spiking?
Testosterone levels?
Oh, spiking, the testosterone levels.
And so they're risk takers, and they're not thinking contextually. And you said women tend to think more contextually. So Are women better cheaters?
They might be. They might be. You know, there's a lot of studies of cheating. They go back to the 1920s, and they have found in all of these studies that men are more likely to say that they cheat than women do. And so the question for scientists is who are all these men sleeping with? I mean,
fair question.
Either there's a few women sleeping with an awful lot of men, or men are bragging and women are lying even to themselves. So there was a study a few years ago in England in which they ended up discovering in that study anyway that men are bragging and women are lying even to themselves. So it's entirely possible that women are more socially skilled, period. I mean, they read faces better, they read tone of voice better, they read body posture better, they're better linguistically, they see the big picture, they see long term, and so there's every reason to think that they're just a little better at cheating.
And yet one last thing that women are doing, we talked about this again, and there is sexting, right? So we know the high cost of sending these pictures. We've seen really bad things happen. Why do you think why are smart women sending naked pictures of themselves?
Because the human animal has a tremendous drive to love, and that brain system is way below the cortex. And when you want somebody, that focus, that motivation, that obsession can overtake the cortical regions of the brain. In fact, when you're madly in love with somebody, various brain regions linked with decision making actually become less active, enabling you to make all kinds of stupid decisions. The difference is, women have always been sexting. I mean, women have always been sending sexy pictures of themselves to a man that they wanted to win. The difference is that, in the 1960s, we took a photograph of ourselves and we gave it to our sweetheart. today we send it over the internet. That's the problem. The internet is so recent that somehow the human brain has not yet really come to grips with the dangers of it. They see this as a useful way to impress the boy. For millions of years, women have wanted to impress. It's quick. That's the way he's going to look at it. And they don't tend to think long term. They become impulsive and they get themselves in trouble. So what I actually think is that as the digital age becomes more and more part of all of us, we are going to begin to really see the problems that Anthony Weiner and others have had and learn from them and become smarter.
Cool. Well, thanks as always for putting some context to some of the more base of our behaviors. Thank you.
Thank you.